Y'all
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the F Y'all Podcast. I am your co-host, Michael Wright, and across from me, as always, is the legendary Mr. C.T. Fletcher. And Pops, we got a good show today. You ready for this?
Oh boy, yes I am.
Yeah, buddy. All right, let's get right into it. Today's guest grew up with music legends in the room, not just on posters. Her father built SOLAR Records. Her mother lived the music, and somewhere inside of all that history, she had to figure out who she was. And she went on to sing professionally, step into the legacy of Shalamar, and build a career that is all her own. This is a real conversation about family, joy, and finding your voice. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the F Y'all Podcast, Carolyn Griffey. Welcome to the F Y'all Podcast, ma'am. Now, before we do anything, I want to tell this little story, how small of a world this is. Now, people who know me, my wife, know I'm a gigantic Shalamar fan. So when we had the opportunity to get Miss Carolyn Griffey on the podcast, we are lightweight related in a sense. So
Absolutely.
my wife, you guys heard me tell this story. My wife, and we talked about David Arnold. If you go ahead and pull those pictures up for me, Solomon, because we'll talk about him. So David Arnold that was my guy. I love David. We met him back in 2014, I believe that was. And for years and years, we would go see this man perform. And one particular day, he was performing in New York. He's got his manager with him. And his manager is Christopher Brooks, who just happens to be my wife's cousin. So we send David a message. We're talking. He's like, oh, no, y'all family now. So we go to New York, hang out with him and Chris. And from there, it was all love after that. This was back in 2020, I believe. He came to Baltimore and we saw him perform there. So for all of this stuff to kind of come full circle is so absolutely crazy to me. But I definitely want to put a spotlight on David because this was an amazing man. And people always ask me how I got my start in losing all this weight. He was one of the reasons I started losing weight. He would always get on me about my health and my weight and, you know, how much better I would feel if I start dropping that weight. So I owe David a lot. And part of the reason I'm still sitting here right now,
Amen.
I owe that to Mr. David A. Arnold. So I wanted to put some spotlight and some shine on my good brother. We miss you, David. We love you. Thank you so much. So, Carolyn, can you tell me something about David the average person don't know? Because you had a tighter relationship with him than I ever could dream of. But tell me something special about David. What made him who he was?
David's heart.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. When you're funny, you may hear the curse words, you may hear the this, you may hear the that. But a lot of times, as I've gotten to even know about this gentleman, it's like, is their heart. And David loved God, and he was committed. And those are the things that you don't see. Of course, he did a lot of things with his family, and of course, Julie and the kids and everything else. But David and I had this funny thing with that dog that he went to get. And I'll send you the clip of him. I ran into him during COVID and with my daughter, and he was going to get a dog in Utah. I was like, why the heck are you going to Utah to get a dog? He said, because I don't trust the ones out here.
Oh.
But you know what? But David was always, David was always David, no matter what. You did not know David's struggles because David never told it to you. All David wanted you to do was laugh. And that's all I ever did. The first set of abs that I grew were with David. And just for those of you that don't know, just to expand a little bit more how the relationship works, Chris Brooks, that was David's manager that you just spoke of, is Julie McKnight's brother. Julie McKnight, of course, we all know her as the ex-wife of Brian McKnight, and with all this stuff, and we've just lost Nico. So we just, that's our nephew. And matter of fact, I always wear my dog tag with Nico on there. But then Julie's, maybe you might want to have her on the show too. She's a tough cookie. She's got a book called Mama Bear,
Yep.
Beautifully Blended, talking about coming together. And it's nothing negative. We're the positivity posse.
Yep.
So we don't do the negative stuff.
Oh, Victor Brooks. That
Positivity. That's a Vic Brooks over in Brazil.
Yeah. I saw
Hi,
you over
brother.
there. He over there jamming over there.
Man,
in Brazil.
I'm trying to get in the suitcase.
Yeah, I told him next time he's here, we got to link up. And he was like, brother, next time I'm in LA, we definitely going.
We are, and we're going to have some Cuban food.
Oh, I've
That's
never had
his
Cuban
favorite.
food before.
Mhm.
All right, so let's jump right into it. We got a lot to talk about today. So I guess the first question I got to ask, coming up in such a family with all this musical talent, what was it like growing up? What was that household like for you coming up as a kid?
And were you spoiled?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's what I thought. Exactly what I thought.
Hold on. I get to say one curse word. The hell? Absolutely spoiled. But it was fun. My childhood was just I guess a party because I didn't realize, you don't know fame, you don't know this, but the thing is, when you're playing and the doorbell rings and you got Walter and Scotty coming on. I mean, Walter, the people don't know Walter from the Whispers his wife taught me how to swim.
Oh, wow.
Because my dad is the type of person that he's like, Negro, I'm going to throw your ass in and you going to figure it out. And he was about to do that. And then his wife, Jan, was like, no, Dick, let me do this. And she took the time to teach me how to swim because he was tired of me inching my way around the pool. We grew up in Windsor Hills. As a matter of fact, I drove past, saw the chimney. But man, it was just amazing to father being one of the people to start the Black Promoters Association. There were no Black promoters in LA at the time. And he carved a niche that, he handed it off to Al Heyman, and then, of course, it just grew from there. But the thing is, when you see, I want everybody, when you see Black concerts out there and you see the Black collective, you see, there are the footprints of Dick Griffey still here. And that's why I fight for the legacy, because everywhere I look, his footprints are still here. The music is still here. It's still in the Grammys. So, and people don't understand, it wasn't just the music. There's a lot of historical things that you'll find out. And I'm working on that right now. And of course, I'll keep you guys, I'll keep you guys abreast of everything. But yeah, I got some exciting stuff. But,
Now, when you say Al Heyman, the boxing promoter?
yes.
Oh, wow.
Al Heyman was in college. My father, and from Nashville, Tennessee, because he was from Nashville. Al Heyman, he brought him out here after college. And when he went because my dad started off as the booking agent for Soul Train.
Okay.
Because, he and Don were friends, were great friends. And Don came from Chicago. Don had the business, but he didn't have the connections for the acts.
Right.
So that was my dad's job. So he would do that, and they did that. But then when he wanted to do the record business, he kind of got Don to come in and wanted to do Soul Train Records. Don really wasn't into it, but he said, okay. And when he saw that it wasn't making no money, he bounced.
So that's how we got the split from there into SOLAR Records.
And that's actually the funny thing is, and what people don't know, there was a Soul Train Club as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Soul Train Club, because my father was a club promoter.
Okay.
Originally. So actually, when they went in and they parted ways, business-wise, not friendship-wise, my father paid him out, my parents paid them out. And in that was Soul Train Records and the Soul Train Club. But it's just been dormant because we haven't done anything with it. Now, we do it overseas, but so just to let you know, there's some things coming. Think about it. There's never been a Soul Train Club. Now, we've been on the Soul Train cruise. We've been on the Soul Train but so, that's one of the things that, that he also started that I do want to pick up the mantle on. And
You have the trademark?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Because somebody else will try to.
No, actually, but the great part about it is because we actually did it in overseas first.
Mm-hmm.
But when I realized, I was like, gosh, we don't have the trademark in the States. My attorney over there, she said, yes, we do. She says, the licensing. People don't understand, and we can talk about this later. When you trademark, there has to be licensing that substantiates your trademark, unless it's fraudulent. Anyway, and I won't say anything. But, so the thing is, long as it's, each court, and the courts do communicate, because we actually won the Soul Train Records lawsuit against Viacom and BET. Okay. And they said, don't do it. Don't do it. Do you know you're going against the powers that be? And I was like, let me tell you something. God is my power that be. So we pray, and we pray about everything. We prayed about it. We fought, and we fought well. And they went overseas with it. And when Viacom got to that court, they were like, how dare you? They really tried to remove Dick Griffey's association with Soul Train.
Wow.
So, but let me clarify. Where am I looking? Where's my
It's
Right
straight
ahead.
ahead.
Okay. Not saying we have the right to do Soul Train, but Soul Train Records and Soul Train Club, absolutely, because that's what became SOLAR Records.
Yep.
So that was the inception.
So you spoke earlier about, looking around and still seeing your father's footprint and everything going around. What's that like for you, just to know that your father built something amazing that you can still see in today's world? That has to be an amazing feeling, knowing that he built something that amazing.
I think there's a mixed feeling that comes with that.
Really?
Because if as we all know, we've been colonized in so many ways, and there's so many things in history that we're not given credit for. We've had to grow and be awakened to find out the things and the accomplishments and the greatness that we possess. We were raised being told that this person invented this and this person invented that, until we became woke, as the younger generation says. And we start finding out that, everything came from us. Everything. First, everything on this planet started in Africa. So even Asians get mad. You know what? You pull up them black Asians on those things. So the thing is, when I see it, it makes me feel good, but to have to continually fight for it gets exhausting. And it's expensive.
Yeah.
And it's
all about it.
and it's frustrating. So it's a blessing and a curse, because there's nowhere in the world that I go I don't hear our music, that I don't see something. And at the same time, I'm not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work. A lot of work to be
Very
done.
frustrating. Damn well it's yours.
Damn well. But that's just like, I said we weren't going to get into it, but I'm going to be very frank and professional about it. Just like IPs. Your intellectual
Your
property is
absolutely.
not something that you go and acquire because you were a part of it. It's something that either you started or you inherit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad that, in the court of public opinion, people can create in their mind what they want, but only what
Really
the foundation is.
Absolutely.
So that's why I fight so hard for our legacy, because when I see those footprints, I'm the voice. My board is the voice. My children, my family, my siblings are the voices of the legacy. And it doesn't represent our legacy. It represents so many of them. I'm on a board of the Miss Black America pageant. They finance and fund their own stuff. So my thing is, this year, what I really would love to do, I'd like for all of us to try to get together, figure out a legacy board and how to get those Black dollars back into our Black legacies. So, I'm not just fighting for Solar or Shalamar, I'm fighting for all of us. Because you know what, when we're gone, they can water it down unless somebody like this one who's loud about whatever it is. You know what? And sometimes you have to get their attention.
Yep.
And you ain't gonna do it being nice.
Hell no.
Nope.
So you say it's a gift and a curse, but with that being said, do you feel like your father has gotten the credit he deserves for what
Absolutely.
he
Hell no. I can say it on this show.
Yep.
Hell no.
There you go.
I thank you for the opportunity to be on here, because I have to be so conciliatory and so business and so female and so that I think this is probably one of the only places I feel like I can be somewhat me.
No,
just comfortable, because especially, meeting CT was like the highlight of, especially, and I believe it or not, at that time, that's when I was new to bodybuilding. So had I not been in it, I probably wouldn't have known. But man, you guys, I'm sorry, real quick. I know you didn't ask me.
No, I was going to get to that. Trust me,
I met
it was on my list.
CT, and we were in England. We were in London, and we had a show the night before. I was looking crazy. I had eyeliner on down to my cheeks. But I just, you know what, the prissy woman in me had to leave. I was just like, sir, can I just please have a picture? And I took the pin. When I look at the picture now, I'm like, ooh. But
I was like, damn, she is yoked. This young lady is in shape. Boy. She is in good shape.
But it was such a great timing though, because I don't think it would have connected us to where we would have still, and I shared with him that I was in Shalamar. He was like, man, I love Shalamar. Yeah. So we still have yet to have gotten him to a Shalamar concert, but that's next.
Mm-hmm. I'll make sure he gets
there. Oh, absolutely.
I'll make sure he get there.
Yeah.
Well, she got to train with me first.
That is true. That is true.
With me first. You owe me a training.
Hold on. And I'm running.
Look, she got her tank top says drop and give me 20.
That's $20.
Hey, that's the warm up. That's what that is. That's the warm up.
Actually, this is funny. This T-shirt is probably about 20 years old. It was my mother's.
Oh.
And she didn't want it anymore, and I started training. And I said, "Give me that T-shirt." And I looked, and this is one of my comfort. I cut it all up, so that's why I'm not cute, y'all.
Stop it.
Perfect.
Well, we already here on the training, so this is how we do on this show. We kind of jump all over the place. But again, while we talking about it, what got you started into fitness?
The funny thing, I have always been fit-minded. I was a tomboy. I was a tomboy growing up. And when I was a little girl, I begged my dad. I was always outside. All my friends have always been boys, except for a couple of my girlfriends, which, by the way, I'm staying at her house right now. Since the third grade, we were Windsor Hills Elementary. We were just tomboys and out. And I've just always loved the physicality of being out. Street lights, I always got whoopings because I wouldn't come home. But to be fair, as I got older, I've always ridden horses. I was an equestrian growing up.
Okay.
So my legs were always on point because all the muscles that you have to use in order to ride. But the training part of it was, to be fair, it started with my a separation. I was going through a separation with my daughter's father at the time. And I was just going through it. And I had a good friend of mine who was going through the same thing. And he said, he started training me.
Okay.
So we started doing it. But what picked me up to go to the next level was we were doing a show. And it was up on YouTube. And somebody looked at me and said, I guess somebody in the comments said, "Who's that fat? You know who?" And I was like, for those of you that don't know, when you do your homework, I'm obviously the female in Shalamar, and there was one that existed before who left in '83, by the way. But when I came in 2001, that was an issue for me. I said, I don't ever want anybody to reference me as a fat anything. I was, you're a woman. That hurt my pride. That hurt everything. And it just happened that God aligned me at the time to be in a situation where I met someone who was a trainer and on the way to being an IFBB pro, which I take full credit for being a part of that process because the deal was, you train me, I'll cook the food.
Man.
But we know the food is 80% of it.
That's a big part.
So that was a great marriage at the time to be able to realize what my body could do. And, seeing the evolution of that was just the difference in eating a sweet potato and going through your veins and getting vascular. And I remember saying at the beginning, I was like, I'd see a real muscular woman. I was like, I don't want to look like that. No, I don't want to look. And he'd just look at me like, yeah, okay. And the more in shape I got, the more in shape I wanted to be.
Yeah, because you look like you were ready to get on stage when I seen you.
You know what? I even went down to during the competitions because, at the time also, my love for working out, I became a trainer because I wanted to help people. So when I wasn't on the road with Shalamar, I'd come home and I trained, and it literally, I didn't make no money at it because I loved doing it so much. They're like, you need to get the money from the people.
Yeah.
So, I had
you just training them for free?
No, I just didn't push price.
Okay.
Because my thing, for me, it was a ministry. God literally put it on my heart, and I loved it so. And I told God, I was like, if you make it so I could do this and it'd be a blessing to somebody. Because sometimes people will come into the gym and I would see things going on, and sometimes we wouldn't even train. We'd end up praying. So there were different times, but the fitness journey was a walk for me that kind of evolved, and the physique just came. And what I loved about the physique was I used to look at people when I put on my little Nike, dry fit tops, I started seeing my arms peeking through the shirt, and all of a sudden I start raising my shoulders and lats popping, and it became an addiction.
Yep.
It was an addiction.
There you go.
And
Took it out my mouth, Pops.
But after that, I started losing my dad to health issues, to diabetes and clogged arteries, and he had a quadruple bypass, which ultimately a year later we ended up losing him to it, because you got to connect the mind with the heart, and he was also bipolar.
Oh wow, okay.
And he was on Depakote and a lot of information because he was a veteran. Though the two people didn't talk. The neurologist didn't talk to the cardiologist, and there were things they were expecting him to do. That was another pivotal point in my life where I'm just like, seeing people leave here that I love before their time, I became the pain in their ass. I'd go over people's house, I'd go in their pantry and start pulling food out. And people got to the point they didn't want to hang around me. Because the thing is, they'd invite you to eat. I'd bring my meal prep. We'd get on the flights. I'm sitting up here. We got our food. We got our bags and my water and everything else. It became a lifestyle. But I did realize one thing. When I travel overseas, it became really hard. And that's the thing. And it's not an excuse, because I used to do these segments. No excuses. Get up in the morning.
Sound familiar?
No excuses. Yours might have been no effing excuse.
Yeah, fuck excuses.
Right. Fuck excuses. And I said, I'm going to challenge myself. But I kind of started seeing how the decline in what I was trying to do. When you go overseas and you couldn't find protein for a while. Right. Sometimes they just started getting stores within the past 10, maybe 15 years. You don't have microwaves in the hotel rooms. Nope. Some of them don't even have refrigerators because it's a health risk for them to allow you. They won't warm your food. So I got accustomed to eating cold food, and just making those adjustments. No, you could say excuse at the time, but it was a real concerted effort to make sure that I told everybody. I changed the writer on our tours. They got mad at me. All the cookies and candies and fat foods and sandwiches. I was like, nope, I want it catered. I want chicken. I want fish. They're like, you're going to make us all pay? Honestly? Yeah, absolutely. And if I had it my way, and I don't body shame anybody. My thing is, if I got to do it, you got to do it. I don't want somebody up on stage hiding their bass behind this. Bruh, go, you know what I'm saying? The thing is, it's longevity. Look at us. We're dropping like flies. And 9 times out of 10, it's because we don't take stock in ourselves. We don't care enough to say somebody, I'd rather get on your damn nerves about what I need you to do versus what you want to do. And I noticed too many people that I lost that I wish I had opened my mouth and not been afraid to say something. Mainly my father.
Man. Oh, okay. While you're on top of your father, I'm going to talk about mine a little bit.
Yeah.
You said your dad was bipolar?
Yeah.
Okay. I think mine was too. They call it, he was a veteran too, and they call it shell shock.
Shell shock, right.
But, because, he's older. But he, I never knew from one day to the next what this motherfucker was going to be like. When I got home, I didn't know what the fuck all I know, when he would come on, I wanted to disappear and shit.
Yeah.
You never know.
Right.
You can't say shit.
And it's hidden.
Yeah.
For us, it's not a discussion.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I was walking on eggshells all the fucking, and that's a rough childhood. So I want to ask you, how was it growing up with a bipolar father? How was that?
I think I'm bipolar, so I think I just rode the roller coaster. I think it was more because the manic depressive disorder a lot of times shows up the older you get. It gets the worse. And it's one of those things, if you are diagnosed, there's not one medication. It's a continual revolving thing of trying to figure out what works, because what's working now may not work 2 months later. So for me, I think because he was gone so much.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Traveling a lot. And my parents did a really good job at hiding the family problems. It wasn't a thing where you heard the arguing, you saw the arguing. I think I didn't deal with as much as I probably saw when I got older. The manic rants, the nights of no sleep, and then the talking, the rapid, and then at a certain point, my dad moved to Africa. He moved to Accra, Ghana. And he lived there for about 10 years. And there's a whole, let me tell you, there's a whole nother segment we could do, because there's so much that came out of it. But it's a little scary if you're not educated. The difference is, during the process, my mother educated herself and she educated us. And I think it helped so much. We knew, it's time for soup. Okay, give dad some soup. What we mean by that is the medication that he didn't want to take. My mother would make sure that she put it in there so it could bring him down. It's definitely not something one person can deal with. It's definitely a family planning, and it's something that you have to attack as a unit.
I noticed that you talk a lot about your spirituality, praying, and where did that come from? I know you sang with Andre Crouch. Okay,
Yeah.
where did this spirituality come from?
It's always been there. I used to think, when I was a little girl, I used to sit in my room. I thought I was a weirdo, to be honest. I would sit in my room a lot, and I would talk. What I thought was talking, my parents thought I was talking to myself. And as I got older, I realized I was having conversations with God. My grandmother used to call what we call it clairvoyant, which scared me, because as a young child, I would see things before they happened. And when I realized, like, even when I was talking to you, if you'd say something, I would finish your sentence and people would just look at me. And it was scary to me. So literally, it was almost one of those things where I would cover my head like, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. But whatever God puts in you, he's going to bring it back out. And it just got to a point in my life where, man, I did everything. I was doing drugs, hanging out, Hollywood, got money, got all this other stuff. I have nothing else to do. You got horses, you have everything. When you give your kids too much and you don't give them, and my parents did give me direction. I'm just hard-headed. I'm an Aries, which doesn't help. A best friend of mine invited me to her church. And when I walked in Pastor Crouch's church, I never forget. And I was never, and let me say this, I've never claimed to be the best singer. It's just something in my heart. There are some people that can blow. I just stepped into it. I always wanted to sing, but I wasn't raised to sing like that. Even though I grew up in a Black musical legacy, my mother would listen to Judy Garland and Bette Midler and John Taylor and Carole King. So I was in Michael Franks, and I grew up with a different type of, musical influence. So I got with a girl who was a white girl. She was raised as I'm sorry, the evangelists. Her father, they were evangelists, and they'd go and they'd do all the tent meetings. So I used to call her the wheat bread, and I was the Wonder Bread. She could sing like the black girl, I would sing like the white girl. But when she took me to that church, something happened. I sat down, and the Spirit hit me, and Pastor Crouch called me up there, and I was like, I don't want to go up there. I went the first time to church with Elder Barge, and he took me to an apostolic church, and it scared the hell out of me. So I'm surprised I even went back. But when I walked up there, Pastor Crouch, something about he touched my hand and passed me the mic, and I was going for testimony, and this song just came out of my belly, it was the Holy Spirit.
What was the name of the song?
Hold on. I can't remember. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is the sweetest name under heaven. I can't remember the name of it, but I just, I I'm giving my life just to please him. Jesus is the sweetest name I know.
I know. Woohoo!
And and I remember there was this line, there is no one in this whole wide world is like him. When I sang that, I opened my eyes, and I've always struggled with stage fright. No, it's weird. Always struggled. I never wanted to sing solo. I was always too afraid to be even though I was a ham, I opened my eyes and tears were running down my face. I probably had a lash stuck to the side of my head. But the entire church had their hands lifted, and it was crazy.
Man.
And after that, there was just something. And Pastor Crouch, the mothers were looking at me like, don't you come up in this choir, girl. I've been singing for 20 years to get a solo, and you just... But after that, ministry literally it's something that I knew that God put in me. And I think that's what became my ministry, was the training. The training was the encouragement. The training was it was the love, and even the things that I didn't believe that I had within myself. It's like whatever I could give to somebody else, that became more important. So me, if I could share with you longevity, life, love, health, being that wealth, and just that whole thing to me, I didn't want to be paid for that. I figured, God, you paid it all. I'm paying it forward. And that became really, really the most important thing to me.
Man.
Was that kind of the catalyst that you talked about, kind of wilding out back in the day? Was that kind of the catalyst to start getting you back on track and getting you out of the...
I didn't say I was on track. I just said I love Jesus.
Can't wait.
But to be fair, for people out there struggling, yes, that was an issue, because walking that straight line and not straddling, some people give up and they say, you know what? There's times I was still struggling up in the pulpit, and I wanted to step down because I was going through. And my pastor told me, you keep going. You keep going, because I ended up moving to Tennessee and continued the ministry there in a church, in a couple of different churches. And all of my awakening happened there. Being away from LA, getting away from the wild parties, getting away from that, getting underneath the word of God and literally finding some things out and battling those demons. So, do I have those? Heck yeah. The cussing Christian, yes, guilty. But I started realizing, but the funny thing is, we are trained to be traditional. We are not trained to have a relationship with the Lord. He created us. And he said, I knew you. I mean, if he knew every hair on our head and what he created before we came here, why are we repenting for things that he knew we were going to do? We're sitting up here guilting ourselves when he paid it all. And he didn't say to continue to sin. But as long as we are mindful and we strive every day and pray, you know what, Lord, if I got to repent every day, I'm going to repent every day to try the next day. Does that mean I'm going to be perfect? No, but it means I'm going to never give up. And that's the thing. I have done more ministries. I have done, and I started doing a Celebrate Recovery in a church. Talk to them about my drug use. Talk to them about backsliding. Talk to them about fornicating. Talk to them about all I do. I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner, but I love the Lord, and I will never stop proclaiming what I know that He has done and He'll do in all of our lives. I mean, so. The devil wants you to think that you got to come all the way correct. You don't listen. You don't heal yourself and go to the doctor.
I'm a PK. So,
no wonder you a hot man.
yeah. Thank you.
Those are the most afflicted ones.
Absolutely. And I grew up, in the church. And I think that's probably why I don't go to church now, because absolutely, without a shadow of doubt, the worst sinners that I have ever seen was in church. And every Sunday, the biggest sinners I ever seen was in church turning over benches and shit.
Honey, and you mothers up there trying to get the pastor's attention, showing him your drawers falling out. No, but
Every
It's real
Sunday.
talk.
Yeah, and the absolute worst, like you said, it's not about so much the church. It's that personal relationship with God. I mean, I don't need you to I got people on the internet who got me in hell roasting and shit, and telling me how I'm gonna be on the rotisserie and shit. And I'm like, motherfucker, I don't know you. How you gonna convert me and I don't even know your motherfucking ass? I'm not gonna listen to you. I don't know. You could be doing all kind of shit, and then you trying to convert me. I mean, man, fuck you. I don't need that shit. So anyway,
So during that process, a good follow-up question, what's the biggest thing you learned about yourself going through that process?
that I'm gonna fail and I'm gonna grow every day. And the biggest thing is, how do I recover and how do I continue? That I never quit. I'm not a quitter. I'm a fighter. I'm gonna always fight. I'm always fight for me. I'm gonna advocate for myself, and I'm gonna always fight for those who don't fight for themselves. Because I was the bully beater upper in school.
oh, man.
I was beating up boys in school. I was beating up boys in school. I have a story I never forget. I grew up in San Fernando Valley, grew up in Chatsworth. Bay Area first and then moved to Chatsworth. And I was a horsey girl. Like I said, my dad moved me out there. I'm a cowgirl. Yes, I'm a real black cowgirl, y'all. I used to ride my horse through Jack in the Box.
Oh, man.
I used to ride up to Chatsworth Park. I never forget. I rode up to Chatsworth Park on my horse and walked in the middle of a KKK rally. Got chased out the park on horseback. Yes, sir. I remember, being, here we go, light skin, dark skin, which you understand.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I always was mad because I wasn't dark enough, or I wasn't. Listen, I've always been militant. Always been militant.
I can tell.
I've just never, but the thing is, when you move to the valley and you're the only black person living where you are, I mean, literally, I never knew other black people with horses. So it was like I always had to ride with who was available to me. And I had great friends, but I didn't even know about the whole black cowboy movement at the time, which that, of course, came later. But man,
people don't be fooled. There were a lot of black.
Yes.
Learn your history on that one.
Absolutely, especially in Hollywood, and that's a big deal. But I went to school one day, and there was this kid. He was just such a nuisance. I remember his name was Sean, and this fool called me the N-word. And at the time, I didn't say. My father was the chief financier for the Jesse Jackson presidential campaign.
Oh, wow.
1984.
Oh, this is around 84. Okay.
Run, Jesse, run.
Yeah, but it was it was 83-ish that this happened. But Reverend Jackson, who's like my uncle, would always come to the house, and I hated it because when he'd come to the night, and his kids know, I understand, Yusef and Santita, if you guys see this, Jonathan, Jesse, man, having Secret Service come go through your drawers, and all kind of stuff. But at that time, this kid, this is going to make sense, called me the N-word. I'd never been called that before, ever, by anybody that was not of our denomination. It's just something inside me welled up, and my fist balled up, and I drew back, and I did an uppercut into his gut.
Uppercut.
And I winded him, and he was out cold. He fell back, hit his head on the concrete, and I was like, oh my God, I thought I killed
this
him.
motherfucker.
But you know what? They kicked me out of school.
What?
They kicked me out. They suspended me.
Damn.
I said, but I did it because of what he called me.
Yeah, I was
I
provoked.
lived in Chatsworth. They didn't care. That was, like I say, KKK kicking it at the park.
Damn.
So that was the wrong thing to do. First of all, they didn't know who I was. They didn't know who my parents were. And they didn't know the fact that Reverend Jackson was in town and they were in the office.
Oh,
Damn.
Needless to say, I went right back to school.
wow.
But it's just, you know, I'd like to say we've come a long way, but as you see, we're still fighting. So.
Yeah, people think that's ancient history. That's why I want to know the year. 1984 wasn't that damn long ago. And, you know, people go, oh yeah, man, you always bringing up shit that happened, and that's past tense, you know. And nah, motherfucking ain't that long ago.
KKK.
Yes, absolutely.
Chased out the park.
In 84. Damn, shit still going, motherfucking still doing fucked up shit today.
Yeah.
You got a new.
And I'm glad I wasn't carrying, because I live in an open carry state. So I'm so glad I learned.
That fire on you.
I'm just letting y'all know, if somebody plans on jacking me, I'd go jack somebody else. Because I don't want to go to jail.
All right. God, no, we 40 minutes in? Okay. All right. So let me go back. Yeah.
Sorry.
No. It's perfectly fine. That's normally how these episodes go. Trust me. I'm used to it. So let's talk about Shalamar. So before you entered Shalamar, was there ever any inkling that you would ever be a part of this group? Was that something you thought of?
No. No, and no. That's nothing I ever wanted to do.
Really?
No. First of all, if you ask anybody that knew me during that time, my friends used to tease me because all my clothes had holes in it because I was the biggest Shalamar fan in the whole world. I had Shalamar pins, and of course, when your dad owns the label, you got all the merch, you got all the stuff. Shalamar T-shirts, Shalamar this, that. I thought I was going to marry Howard Hewitt. Howard.
Speaking of Howard, brother, I am a gigantic fan, and I need you to come sit on this couch on the FYR podcast, brother. Howard,
Howard would have come with me had I thought about it.
Don't get my mama started, because she loves us some Howard Hewitt. So, Howard, you have an open invitation, sir, to come on the FYR. I would love to chop it up with you, brother. But when you take me to, how did that even come about? Especially since you said something you never even thought about doing. How did that even come about that you joined the Shalamar?
Well, first let's clarify the timeline. Mm-hmm. Jody and Jeffrey left in 1983. Yep. I don't think people realize that, because the slack that I get is like I came in and took Jody's place. That was never, ever anything I wanted to do. First of all, I was a huge Jody Watley fan. Mm-hmm. I mean, as a little girl, following her style and everything else. But, but everybody, Shalamar changed hands several times, several members. Mm-hmm. Howard wasn't the first member. Yep. The first member was, Gary Mumford. Was such a good guy. Gary Mumford, and then you had Gerald Brown, of course, of Take That to the Bank, and didn't work with Gerald. Then here came Howard. But then Jeffrey and Jody left in 83. Then here comes Mickey Free. Mm-hmm. Mickey Free comes in, and then my father, they all get together, and they launch a talent search to find the girl. Found her in Nashville, Tennessee, Delisa Davis, mm-hmm. which to this day I still love her. It's just the sweetest person in the world. And after that, Howard left. Howard wanted out his contract. He said, no, Negro, you're going to finish this. You got how many more records to do? You're going to do this. And when his time was up, Howard left to do a solo thing. And see, that's the thing. Jody left to do her solo career. Howard left to do his solo career. And Jeffrey went off to do great things. Everybody knows he taught Michael Jackson the moonwalk, all that other stuff. Howard and Jeffrey were out on the road. They were doing it by themselves. They were over in Europe. They were doing concerts, and they were like, we need a female. And so what happened was they came to, and at the time, like I say, Howard and I have been best friends forever. I used to babysit Howard's kids and all that other stuff after I stopped liking him. Anyway, Howard said, Carolyn, you know what? We're doing a show overseas in London. Why don't you come sing the girl parts? Freaked out. Like, what? And it was just a gig. It was just one gig that they asked me to do. I was nervous as heck. But the thing was, they had been doing it, and they needed a girl. So I went ahead. It was a private event at the Dorchester Hotel. Amazing. Scared I probably was terrible. But anyway, I went and I came back. I was so excited. I came home and I told my dad. Now, you guys are the first to get the real, because I can't really talk like my dad anywhere else. But I'm paraphrasing, guys. So I came home. I was so excited. I said, Dad, I just came back from London and did the show with Shalamar. You did a show for who? How much did they pay you? And I told him, I won't disclose the price. He said, these motherfuckers. Carrie, let's call my mom. Get so-and-so on the phone. He started making phone calls and all this other stuff. And next thing I knew, Jeffrey was being flown from Africa Japan at the time. Howard, we had a sit-down meeting, and my father sat everybody down. And basically, I didn't understand trademarking. He let them know, I own
This
that.
my shit. This
my shit.
Yep.
That's my daughter. You won't pimp my daughter. Well, I mean, and understand that's just how he spoke.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm the little girl that's like, oh my God, because I loved Howard and I loved Jeffrey. And I saw the way my dad spoke, and I always made excuses for him because he was so harsh.
Mm-hmm.
But he was business, and I didn't get that then. I felt like the fat Indian chief's daughter that he was selling, to John Smith. So basically, he's like, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to give the name to her. Y'all going to work for, and it was just the way that it was done. It was just really like, oh my God. And then think about, he walks out of the room and it's crickets, and I'm looking that's not what I had anticipated. Yeah. And after that meeting, I went trying to get in touch with Jody. I literally was like, oh my God, there's no way I could do it, because I would never compare myself to, I don't compare myself to anybody. Yeah. But I just was like, oh my gosh, it was this opportunity to make that happen. And I called Jody's little sister, Michelle, at the time. And I don't think that they really were, had a tight relationship. And I couldn't, get a number on her, or I don't know if she tried. Whatever the case was, it didn't happen. Yeah. And I started doing it.
This is around 2001?
This is 2001. Mm-hmm. And I was nervous as heck. I felt that pressure. And like I say, and the guys didn't look for anybody else. Luckily, it was me. And I know that it was orchestrated by God, because even though my dad wasn't the most, he don't care about respect. He's like, it's my money, this is what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. That's how, that's how it was. But at the same time, I think if it had been anybody else, it wouldn't have worked. I think because God gave me a heart for these men and the respect for them, and, not a fan, but Jeffrey, they're my family. Yeah. My dad didn't see it. He's like, no, y'all are under contract. We weren't under contract. I love Jeffrey and I love Howard, and God literally, and don't think we have not gone through hell, but we have fought through all the demons that were intended for that saga to be rectified at this point. And we love being with each other.
What was their reaction after that meeting with your father?
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. Because their whole thing is like, well, we chose to put her in, because it was the rightful choice. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, legally, but we have to do it the way legally it was right. Yeah. And I just wish he had taught me a little bit more about trademarking, because when he passed, of course, that's when we went into the other issues that came later down the road. Yeah. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm glad that I get an opportunity to celebrate a legacy for me that is one of the most unsung and beautiful legacies. And I'm the longest standing female since 2001. And, no matter how people say, oh, it's not this, it's not that, it is a business. Mm. It is a brand. And after Howard and Jeffrey are gone, and after I'm gone, I hope somebody else will do a beautiful Shalamar tribute, and we were talking to our kids. Howard, does your son Christopher want to do it? Jeffrey, which one of your kids? We have to think like that, because it's easy to say, well, if they're not all original, I don't want to do it. Ain't one original but Otis left in the Temptations. There ain't one Four Top left. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, they still want to hear the music. And that's why a lot of us go overseas. Because Black folks, y'all the only ones tripping. We ain't tripping. we love the legacy. We love the music. And and that's what and that's what my blessing is being able to celebrate it.
Yeah.
And you know what, Jody, if you watch this, I'm celebrating you too, sis, because you were a part of this.
Yeah.
This is everyone's legacy at this point.
And the music is so timeless. Like I said, you can throw on a Shalamar record right now, and it's going to get the place jamming and moving. And again, that's why I'm so honored to have you here, because you look at the legacy of a Shalamar and just all the other people that were part of Solar, the Whispers. And again, my mother's probably going to flip out just hearing the Whispers, because she is the biggest Whispers fan whatsoever on the face of this planet. But to be around the Whispers, Lakeside.
Your mom and me, she's a year younger or something like that.
Yeah, 65.
It's really close.
Yep.
And so when, the biggest Shalamar history, I was low riding and shit. And, woo, let me tell you, boy.
We want some of those pictures. We want some of those pictures.
So, but God dog it. Anyway, but originally you started with was it a dance group? Because you got to put an album out. So you were part of Absolute.
Uh-huh.
So tell me about that one.
That was the Wheat and the Wonder Bread.
Yeah. Oh, that was her. Okay.
That was the Wheat. My girlfriend, she was my, one of my best friends at the time. And she, that had come out of the church, Tiara Lamax. And the funny thing is, Tiara, let me tell you how we met. Through Jody Watley's little sister, Michelle.
Really?
Michelle Watley introduced Tiara to me. Brought her to my house in Chatsworth, brought her to the ranch, and we were inseparable ever since. And the crazy thing about Absolute was, at the time I was dating Albie Shore, and at the time she was dating. At the time she was dating Chuck.
Boy.
At the time she was dating.
Gotta get Al on the show. We gotta get Al on too.
We did a movie together, me and Al.
Oh wow! Al and I ended up being like family.
Yeah.
And my father loved Al, so Al and my dad had a really and he and my mom too. But Tiara was dating Chucky Booker at the time.
Okay.
So the funny thing was, and then we had Keith Crouch. We had, of course, you got Kyle West. We had all these major producers right in our midst. And we were excited to do this Absolute project. And my father made us work with his staff writers. I was so mad. I was like, except for, let me say that Ricky Smith, who is actually the bass, he was with Larry Graham. He's now with The Time. He's the most amazing player, but and still a very good friend. Also responsible for the Throwdown Brothers with Solar.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Ricky Smith. But, the project wasn't what we wanted it to be, but my father made it what he wanted it to be. And it was Solar Epic Records. And, we had a great launch, and then I got pregnant. And my father was like, well, you're done. And I was like, hold up. I was like, wait a minute. I said, I can do this. And that was right when Whitney was pregnant with Bobby Christina. And she did that show. She did the video when she was pregnant. I was like, I can still do this. He was like, no, you can't. And he erased me out of our contract with Epic.
Wow. Pops was cold.
And look, and I can imagine the advances and everything else. He shelved it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so early on, Babyface came through. He was part of the deal at the time, and they were on Solar too, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
Did you see, or did you know, seeing Babyface early on in those days, that he was going to be this?
No, and you wouldn't have either. Let me tell you something. Kenny, I love you, but I got to say this because I know Kenny's Mr. Cool now. Man, back then, let me tell you something. Kenny was the sweetest, kindest, quietest, most inconspicuous person. And literally, I was in the studio with him the whole time because, our Galaxy Sound Studios was on the 3rd floor, which ultimately ended up being where Death Row was housed because they ended up, my dad gave them the 3rd floor. But Face was so quiet, and he used to wear his hair in that conch, and he used to wear these cut-off Mickey Mouse sweatshirts and stirrup pants.
stirrup.
Man, he in L.A. They were from Ohio.
Yeah.
They had their own look. They had the conchs and the ascots and all that other stuff. Man, nobody knew. All I knew is that these were the baddest brothers I'd ever met in my life. I literally I was working upstairs. After work, I just go sit in the studio all night. On 2 occasions, sat there when they were recording, even when they started doing the recording, like Karen White, Love Saw It, being in there and all just everything. I mean, from every project.
2 occasions is still to
this
one
day.
of my favorite songs.
And LA let me pick the first hit, the first single, and I had artist ears. I didn't have record selling ears. And I never forget, he'd tell me, he goes, I'm never letting your ass pick another single. The single I picked was Body Talk, which is one of the baddest songs. But it was a sonically bad song as an artist, but it wasn't marketable at that time.
Okay.
Because their first hit was 2 occasions, but it hadn't come yet. But yeah, that was a great time. During those times, I don't think it was about thinking ahead. It was just enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
But I knew that they would be amazing. Yeah. I just didn't have any idea that it would be what it became.
Yeah.
You
go ahead.
Saying that you were, like super afraid and to go on stage in the beginning.
Man.
And people would not expect that. It's like I consider myself to be an introvert. And when I tell, when I tell people that, they like, ain't no way. But when you talk and you say, I was so, nobody would expect that from you either. No, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So how do you, being.
And I'm an extrovert.
Okay.
My mother's an introvert. I'm an extrovert. But you know what it is? There was a guy, I don't know if you remember, he was a Christian singer by the name of Michael English.
Oh, yeah.
Michael English, his story, he was afflicted. I think he was demonically afflicted by stage fright.
Oh, wow.
And he said that literally, because he had a gift. And I think, when the enemy knows your gift, the whole thing is to come and cancel it. Yeah. But how many people would come to Christ listening to him singing, Mary, Did You Know? How many people would come to Christ listening to this man's voice because it was angelic? He was one of my favorite. But I suffered that as well. I'll never forget. I went to try out for a play at Shepherd of the Hills, a Christian church that's in Porter Ranch, right down the street from David's house. And matter of fact, I think Cindy from En Vogue had told me about it. And I went to audition. And I just shook. I could not pull it together. Something about performing in front of a few people versus many, just still to this day is a little weird for me. Really? But you know what's weird? I could perform in front of anybody, but my dad doing it in front of my parents scared me. Wow. Which is what made me think about the fact that my dad put me in Shalamar and never saw it.
Wow.
He never saw me perform.
Is that right?
Damn.
No.
Did that bother you?
No, because I know he sees me. I know he sees.
I was really into martial arts when I was young, and I did a demonstration, and my mom made him come to this. And he came, and he made a point to call me on the telephone and tell me that he didn't really want to come if my mom had made him come. And I was like, motherfucker, I didn't want you to come either. Shit, you could have stayed. That's the kind of relationship me and Pops had. He made a point to tell me that he didn't want to be there. I was like, I didn't want your ass to be there either. You notice I didn't invite you. My mom did. So, but yeah, I don't know if the motherfucker can see me now or not, and still don't give a fuck. Yeah, that's bad, but that's the honest truth. They called me. I was on the transplant list, and to get my heart, and they called me and told me that my dad had passed away, and they said if you leave and go back, because when you that close, they could call you at any time. You got to be there. The heart's ready. You got to be there. and said, if you go to your dad's funeral, you're going to go back to the bottom of the list or not get off the list. Yeah, but it was kind of an easy decision for me.
That's good.
Yeah, I was like, shit, I ain't going.
Look, I didn't see him live. I
don't even know if I was going if I was in town. But I damn sure ain't going now. No, I ain't going.
Oh my gosh.
That was easy.
That's crazy.
Hilarious. All right. So before we get out of here, because I swear these hours fly by. You got to come back for part 2 because there's so much I need to. But we have a segment that we do every week on this show called CT Rate That Slap. Now, CT has a history of telling old stories of his big muscular ass back in the day, having to slap people down who was disrespectful or did something out of line. The people love this stuff for some strange reason. So every week we do a segment where the viewers send in clips of people getting slapped and we let CT rate them. We're going to let you join in this week.
I wish I could have known. I could have slapped somebody and sent it to you.
Well, if you ever slap somebody, you send it in and we'll play it on the show. So, Solomon, if you can cue up that clip, let's see what we got here.
Video of you socking that guy in the belly. What's this?
Okay. I don't know if all right.
If it has sound.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of N-words being thrown around, so you probably don't need to play that one anyway.
Okay.
We just want to judge the slap. Here it comes.
It goes sort of fast. Wait, where is it?
No, it's going to straighten up.
Oh.
Damn.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Is that a guy?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a guy. All right. So, Pops. But the sound, I will say, we had the sound, the slap, it was a hell of a pop on that slap.
I didn't hear it,
So
I have to take your word for it.
Okay. So 1 out of 10. How you rate that one? No, Carolyn, go ahead. How would you rate that slap? 1 out of 10. Was that a good slap?
I didn't think it was that big of a slap till I saw the fall. So I say that was a 7.
7.
6, maybe 6.
Okay.
I just think the guy was
hell,
weak.
I'm scared. I know what he's going to give it. Go ahead, Pops.
You know what? You are the best judge that we have had since we started this segment. Because everybody else come on here 10. That was not.
That was a weak slap.
Shit. That was not a goddamn 10. They don't know what a good slap is. That was okay. It was okay.
But you saw his arms up. He'd think he was knocked out, though. His arms
knocked him to the floor now.
But his arms was up in the air.
He didn't weigh but $105.
Okay, yeah.
You could have blew him on him.
Simon wants to replay it. It ain't gonna get no higher marks just because you replaying it. I like the fact that the other dude was doing all the shit.
Watch his arms. Watch.
He's still moving around.
Yeah, he reaching around.
Is he grabbing for?
Yeah,
he was the sound. He was just like, "Help me up!" Like you could tell he had knocked, like kind of flash knocked him out because his arms. He was like, "Help me up!"
I wish I should have had my son come out here for that one day. He's good at that.
All right, Bob. So if she gave it a 6, I know you gonna get this shit a 2 or 3.
Yeah, she was.
I was being nice,
but yeah, she was being nice. But that was she had the closest on everybody else 10. I'm like, shit. That was a 3, a solid 3. I mean, he was still wiggling around and shit on the ground. He probably still talked a little more shit after he was down there. That was weak. So he wasn't completely out, even though Solomon want me to think he was. He was stiff.
I just like all the stuff around it. I mean, he walked over him after too.
Yeah,
so.
but
he's not convulsing. It wasn't a good slap.
No, absolutely.
I think y'all are like kindred spirits.
Yeah. Well, she used to beat up the bullies.
Oh man! I got more teeth. I got so many teeth marks in my knuckles.
So I got to ask you before we go. You talked about your personal training. CT was also a personal trainer, but he'll tell you out his own mouth he was a terrible personal trainer.
Terrible.
And he wants to train me.
Absolutely.
And I'm scared as hell.
What you scared of? There ain't nothing to be scared of.
I don't like throwing up.
He ain't gonna make you throw up.
Oh yes, he is.
No, you won't.
He ain't gonna throw up.
Oh no, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I understand the fear because the first time we came out here and he trained me and my wife, I was scared as hell coming in here. But the one thing he told me was like, I'm gonna fuck you up. But at the end of the day, he said, just give me everything you got. He said, I just want you to do your best.
No.
Give me everything you got. You give me everything you got, we good.
We good.
Because I done seen some of the cats that's been in and out of that gym, and I'm thinking to myself, ain't no way in the hell I'm gonna survive 2 minutes in this damn place. Because what I consider a workout, they consider a warm-up.
Right.
Like
absolutely.
Hundreds of reps was a warm-up.
Right.
And I'm like, no, fool, that's a workout. No, that's a warm-up.
I had a trainer, he had talking about, look, I don't care if you got to put the band under your feet. You got to give me 200 pull-ups. I was like, I can't do 5. I mean, he's crazy.
All right. Oh, you guys are going on tour.
Yes.
Tell us about the Shalamar. Is this all in the UK, right, if I'm not mistaken?
Actually, well, this is the Shalamar 50th Reunion Golden Tour starting in the UK. We do have some shows. We're actually getting ready to do the Legends Cruise at the end of April. Then we've got Yoshi's in Oakland on the 7th of May. Then we've actually just booked, I think it's City Winery in Nashville on the 23rd of May. These are just spot dates for America. So, and the 30th, we're going to be in Gary, Indiana. But, watch the space of Shalamar Friends, Facebook, Instagram. Everything will be there as we add more dates. But we are kicking off our 50th anniversary in France.
Right, okay.
First one is in France. Then we're going to England. And then we're going to Holland. Yeah. So we're going to pick it up in the winter. So a lot of times we do our tours, and these are the least amount of shows that we do. There's times that we're doing 25 on the first end and we come back, but ain't nobody got time for that. we gotta have the breath.
And this starts when? What's the initial?
It's actually our first date is June 9th in France.
Okay.
But you know what? Check out Shalamar Friends on Facebook and Instagram. Everything will be there. And like I say, any additions. And if you guys have any suggestions on coming to your town, put it in there too. So go ahead and get in touch with those promoters and we'll go from there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, just like every episode, these hours go by so fast. So I had 5,000 questions and all kind of topics I wanted to discuss. But
I talk too much.
No.
Me?
No, I love when the conversations just flow naturally. And that makes it, to me, that makes it a whole lot better. So, but we definitely got to have you back for part 2 because there's so much I didn't get to.
And so I can come get this lashing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm gonna be ready. Actually, I'm in the process of getting myself back. So you guys, I want to come back so you guys can see me now, so you can see the evolution of what I look like before I get ready to go back on the road.
Well, I'm gonna say this before.
Good now.
We've had Terry Crews on this show. I hated on him for his physique. Michael Beach, another one. 60-something years old looking, and Michael Beach is in great shape.
No, let me tell you who you need to have on the show, because you had Michael Jai White on here. Mm-hmm. You need to get Gillian on here.
If I knew how to get in contact with her.
That's his wife.
I know.
I got her phone number.
Michael Beach hooked us up with Michael Jai White.
Okay,
so,
well, I will call them, and I'll call and see if that's something that they would do.
I would love
We're going to put it together. Look, I'm getting on the crew.
Okay. Hey, well, you are officially
I'm getting on the F y'all crew.
Damn right. And so, also, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are constantly asking me, how can we support the show? How can we support the show? You guys know we don't have any sponsors on this show, so everything we do is all out of pocket. So if you want to help support the show, get you some official F Y'all podcast merch, which you see all over the studio. The podcast is, the link to is in everything, is in our bio, so you can check that out, and I'll make sure I put it on the screen here. So that's the best way you can support the show. Also, like, subscribe, and share. If you see the videos on YouTube, share them. The more people we can get this show out to, the better. For everybody who supports this show, thank you guys so much. Season 3 of this podcast is going absolutely amazing. You heard him say it multiple times when we started this show. He didn't think we'd make it past 2 episodes. Here we are, 60-some episodes in, 3 seasons in, and we are doing amazing. So thank you guys so much. I got some big news to share that'll be coming up here probably in the next couple of weeks. So I want to wait till the contract is signed and all that stuff. But you guys are going to be seeing us on a few more platforms. But we're going to end this show like we do everywhere. Before that, Carolyn, thank you so much for coming on
Thank you.
FBR Podcast.
Thank you so much.
much.
I'm
This
so
was
honored.
an
I was
honor
so
and a
honored
pleasure.
when you guys
Man,
asked me.
it's been a
But
long time.
we have a special way we end this show, and we're going to end this show like we do all of them.
Fuck y'all.